we'll just see what happens, but I see this as a sign that we're winning the debate. And I see that even though Thunderfoot's fans have come running in, the fact that my subscribers are growing tells me that people are listening.
So Laughingwitch, the feminist who was so proud about writing to the police, to the newspapers, to my employer.
Now, here's my letter. See my name? I put my name there.
Telling them that I was a Nazi, has quit YouTube.
I'm a pretty tough old bird, you know? I had a pretty crappy dad. I'm pretty tough. I'm not going to let these people intimidate me because they're stupid. They're really stupid. You know, this whole thing about the letter, who cares, you know? I've said I did it. I don't care. I'm not afraid to own my own actions.
Not only that, but in an almost surreal act, I received this privacy complaint, presumably from Laughingwitch. Presumably because I used her real name. You know, the one that she proudly points to in the very video that she made on YouTube, where she is so proud about writing to the police, to the newspapers, to my employer, telling them that I was a Nazi who was racist against Muslims, that I harassed Anita Sarkeesian. In that video where she makes it clear that she's doing this under her real name.
Now, here's my letter. See my name? I put my name there. I didn't put Bewildered Ape. I didn't put Laughingwitch. That's what I said.
She now apparently wants a truce. Really? Because writing to my employer wasn't crossing the line. Writing to the local newspapers wasn't crossing the line. Writing to the police wasn't crossing the line. Telling them that I harassed Anita Sarkeesian wasn't crossing the line. Telling them that I was a Nazi who hated women wasn't crossing the line. Telling them that I was a racist against Muslims wasn't crossing the line. Telling them that I literally commanded a hate army of Nazi skinheads wasn't crossing the line. And making a video expressing exactly those sentiments.
Bewildered Ape had proposed a letter writing campaign against Phil Mason, aka Thunderfoot, because of, you know, basically Thunderfoot is said some terrible things and he has a terrible channel. But the real target of this is not Phil Mason the man, it is his subscribers, who basically are Nazis. Basically, that is the issue for me, that this man feeds off of woman-hating, Muslim-hating, or I should say he feeds that hatred in these men, these young men or these older men. I wrote the letter, and as the temporary leader of the social justice warriors on YouTube, I suggest everyone write the letter.
You know what was crossing the line? Pointing to your name you proudly used in a letter, in a video you hope to get me fired in. And showing what comes up when you do a simple internet search of that. I mean, what do you really think is going to happen here? Do you really think that even if such a comically bogus privacy complaint is acted on, that this will improve your situation in the slightest? Yeah, it'll improve it to, Laughingwitch, the woman who publicly made a video writing a letter to get someone fired by calling them a Nazi, and then calling that legitimate protest.
Anyway, like I said, I'm not sorry. I did what I thought was right. It was a campaign. Other people wrote letters. Not just Bewildered Ape and not just me. But I won't say who, and I took down the channel. I took down the video, so you'll never know who said that they would.
Then filed a privacy complaint when someone pointed to the fact that she proudly used her real name in that video. I'm really not so sure that's going to make the internet view you any more favourably. You may also recall that I said that the internet is not as forgiving as I am. It's also got a damn sight more eyes and ears than me. Because would you believe it? The same woman writes multiple glowing reviews of her own company. The one she is vice president of, gushing praise about how wonderful the service was. Only for the owner to reply back how great it is to have satisfied customers. Seriously, she does that under her own username. And now she's going to have the gall to complain about how terrible it is people writing fake reviews. Seriously, Jennifer, I did more than you ever did. Just like I pointed out how you were not immune from internet karma.
And somebody else sent me a comment. They're going to contact my boss, which is apparently my husband.
But part of the reason I wanted to do this video is these people can't do anything to me.
Well, I'm not too sure about that. Because people can say what they want about your company online. And in fact, it's really not like what you did at all, in that all they have to do is tell the truth about your actions rather than all this bullshit about calling people Nazis and so forth. I also pointed out how you could best salvage the situation. If I were you, I would give some thought to writing a groveling apology. Not to me, because despite your most spiteful efforts, the bottom line is, yeah, it's not nice having a bunch of people write to your employer calling you a Nazi who runs a hate army and trying to get you fired and have your livelihood destroyed. But the bottom line is, practically, you had no effect on me. But you need to apologize to the people out there whose lives you could have ruined, and that you're deeply sorry for using such malicious tactics simply because you didn't like what they said online. And that was a hell of a lot more charitable to you than you ever were to me. I pointed out how a sincere act of contrition would help. Well, what was your response when you thought that I had my livelihood ruined? When you thought that you had destroyed my career and my life? You laughed pitilessly. You mocked. You found it funny.
Maybe even alert your employer. Well, former employer.
Because he got mad at me because I made fun of him for losing his job.
And thus far, you have shown no interest whatsoever in apologizing to the internets for what you've done. And I think it's unrealistic under those circumstances to ask people not to treat you like you treated others until you've at least acknowledged that you really shouldn't be writing letters to people's employers to get them fired, to ruin their lives, simply because you disagreed with them on the internet. Until then, who can feel the slightest bit of remorse for you when you are just being treated like you treated others?
At 4 o'clock, an evil man made his bed and lay in it. A pot called a kettle black, a stone thrower broke the windows of his glass house. You look for this one under F for fanatic and J for justice in the Twilight Zone.